The larger conversation is that black women is being overexploited and over-sexualized by the industry, right? And the question becomes, does that hurt this fight for black women being recognized as human beings and being seen to have the ability to, be fought for and be protected? You know, one can say no, but everything goes towards the brand. If one story of a black woman's voice, creating a false report has an effect, then surely an industry that pushes the over-sexualization of black women definitely has to have an effect, right? And I say industry because it's not hip-hop. It's not even the women that's particularly doing it, because without the industry that gives them the money and puts the machine behind it, then it doesn't get done. So the industry are the responsible party, because they are the ones that push it into society. There are so many beautiful women rappers and musicians and artists and women with so many great messages and so many type of music and talent and gifts. But there's a reason why the lowest common denominator, the filthiest, the dirtiest, the wackest music on the planet Earth is the one that's being pushed into the mainstream. But y'all got to be able to think bigger, in all these situations, and I don't think that people can. I think that people are so point by point, issue by issue, that they don't look at the high level. And I look at the high level when we talk about things, right? It was white supremacy that tried to make the black woman the Jezebel, right, of the world, and tried to make her seem like she was the one that was the easy one, right? And things of that nature. So anything that happens to her, she deserves it. And this is what hip-hop, or not hip-hop, this is what the industry is now pushing, when it comes to the sexual exploitation of music, because now we have adult entertainment music and prostitution music. And that's what I like to call it, because that's more the representation of what's being pushed. It's not hip-hop, it's adult entertainment music, right? So instead of porn as a visual representation that you watch, porn is now what we listen to, right? So this is like porn music, you know what I'm saying? Instead of a prostitute that goes and actually sells her physical body, now it's prostitution music about selling her body, right? The same way men were creating pimping music, right? So the music about pimping, about slutting out hoes, about putting them on a track, about, dropping mollies in their drinks, about doing all of those different things. That's the music that, men were putting out, right? And still put it out. So you have men putting out pimping music. Now sometimes women put out that pimping music too, right? Then they put out prostitution music and they put out porn music. Because this is the sound. You got to understand that these industries are not just visual industries. These industries are not physical industries. These are now auditory industries. So they said that if sex sells and people like watching porn, people will probably want to listen to porn as well. So in the background, you hear the moaning, you hear the sex, you hear the talk, you hear, the described scenes of what would happen between a John and a prostitute. Women talking about setting up men and robbing them. That's what prostitutes do. You know what I'm saying? So you got to understand what's being sold to you, and then the effect that has on young girls, which is not something that's conversely talked about whatsoever, right? Nobody ever talks about that. People just say, well, they shouldn't listen, but we know that they do. We know that these become sounds that trend on these platforms, and we know for a fact there's no way that you're going to get them to not listen to it, because the dominant frequency wins. So the dominant frequency is what's more consistent and what's being played. It's the bigger entity, and that's larger than your children. It's larger than their environment, right? It's the logos of the world. So you have to understand the way that this plays out. Now the question becomes is, how does this have an effect, right? On negative, how does it have a positive effect, right? Now I can't really think of the positives at the moment. I'll have to think of right my brain for this, besides the fact that it brings awareness to have these type of conversations. But there's many negatives that one can point out. And the most dangerous thing is that we live in a culture that doesn't create accountability, no matter how degrading it is, right? Because what's being used is the fact that, well, we were oppressed before this, so we can oppress ourselves now, which to me is a mind-boggling statement. It's a mind-boggling, movement, because I don't see how one can contrive that ideology saying that, well, we were once slaves, so we enslave ourselves. Y'all can't get mad at us, right? That's like black people saying, hey, white people used to kill us, we go kill ourselves now. That cannot be an argument, right, against, a history of oppression. Right? It has to be the opposite in order for you to be freeing yourselves. Otherwise, you're just further perpetuating, right, something that was done to you. And instead of being the victim, you become the victimizer. So it's the world of the victim becoming the victimizer, right? Hurt people hurt people. And that's what we're dealing with today. If you can't build a masculine, feminine dynamic, if you can't build a family dynamic, then there cannot be any generational wealth to be passed down in the first place. So therefore, a lot of the movements and things of that nature that we do now are null and void because the foundation is robbed and messed up. So in a household where you're trying to build a family, you're not going to be playing, Pound Town and let your little daughter listen to that, right? Why would you, right? Not if you're trying to teach her self-respect and accountability and things of that nature. But if you want to teach her to just go out there and do whatever you want to, live life however you want to, damn the consequences, damn men, damn the world, right? And then everybody's supposed to treat you with love and respect, regardless of all your choices. Then you're setting her up for failure, right? Same way if you do the same thing to a young boy. Teach him he can go out there and just do whatever he wants to. He can go out there and pimp. He can go out there, be the biggest player in the world. He can go out there, not take care of his responsibilities, whatever. And the world is still supposed to bow down to him, show him love and respect. The police is supposed to respect him. The world is supposed to respect him. Opportunities are supposed to open up for him no matter what he does. That's crazy. And anybody that pushes that on their children, on society, is setting people up for failure. This is not about, no, you got to point the finger and you got to help. You know what I'm saying? Because people you have to know when you're a corporate and when you helping, those destroyers. You got to know. You got to know who's with and who's without. Like, everybody gets an invitation to this proverbial barbecue as to be a part of what you call the culture, right? And everybody gets to represent, and so-called everybody gets to be celebrated because they can make money, right, in an industry that is made to take advantage of small-minded, idiotic, dumbed-down, demoralized people, right? That doesn't make any sense, So it's like, how do we conversely just celebrate people because you made it out the hood and you got some money? That don't mean shit to me, because if you making it out the hood and the way you did it is influencing other people that's still in the hood, right, to do hood shit and to stay in that environment and to not create a better culture, right, then you're destroying the people that you left behind. Just being a buck, you know what I mean? So, that's not something to celebrate. And the only time when people actually know how to draw a line of division or a line of separation between what a person says and what they do and hold them accountable is when a person so-called has consciousness. It's the only time. But that same standard should be held to everybody. Everybody should feel that pressure, right? People be trying to say, I'm not a role model. I don't want to do this, that, and the third. And that may be very true, right? But you gotta, the world has to be able to correctly identify you then. If you say you ain't shit, then we gotta identify, oh, that person ain't shit, right? That person ain't shit. I'm just keeping it a buck. If a nigga say he ain't nothing, he don't want to be positive, well, that nigga ain't shit. Don't support him. We should be able to point that out and say, nah, we don't fuck with that person because they don't fuck with us. That's the way things gotta be. But we can't be out supporting people that don't support us, man. It's a weird ass world. So, I just wanted to have that thought process out there.